Now I don't know about heaven, no, but I can tell you about hell. Right now, I never lived in a mansion, not at all, but I spent time in a cell, been locked up. I couldn't speak about the good life, cause all I ever known was bad. You already know, I guess I'm gonna die a gangster. Fuck, that's all I ever really had. That's all I ever really had. That's all I ever really had. But I'm stuck on the corner, that's all I ever really had. If I slip, I'm a goner, that's all I ever really had. I think it's making me strong, that's all I ever really had. There ain't no taking my honor, that's all I ever really had. I know they ready to judge, that's all I ever really had. Cause I'm heavily thugged, that's all I ever really had. I had to hustle to make, that's all I ever really had. So the struggle won't break, that's all I ever really had. My pen's been dipped in the blood that I shed in the street. You'll see how I bleed out and end up dead on my feet. Hate dreams where I'm looking at myself in a box. Lot of fire at the bottom and hope it's felt at the top. End up dead on my feet. Hate dreams where I'm looking at myself in a box. Lot of fire at the bottom and hope it's felt.
Okay, hold on. We had to slow it down real quick. What's up? We doing a beta test. We live. We're going live on Facebook, on YouTube, and I believe on Twitch tonight, which you can also rewatch the show on KCTH channel 28 on your TVs every night at 10 p.m. We got a great conversation with Paul Kiem. He works with the Small Town Society, does live music, a great space, volunteers with kids at the Castro Valley High School. He works with the community to try to get the community to get involved in what's going on in their community and better their community. We're going to sit down with Julio Romero. He used to be the owner of Brews and Brats, amongst a ton of other businesses, local businesses, has helped out and been active in the community. And last but definitely not least, we're going to sit down with Ruffy Goddy, my man from Thiz Latin, signed to one of the biggest record labels in the country, Empire. You know what I'm saying? We're going to sit down and we're going to talk like normal folks about local politics. You know what I mean? The homelessness, free speech. Definitely going to hit up about, Charlie Kirk, what happened with that. I hope even if you completely disagreed with his politics, even if you was completely disagreed with his verbiage, that you weren't celebrating his death. Two thoughts could be true at the same time. Like what he said, I ain't feeling that one bit. And celebrating people's assassinations, public executions, that's horrible. You know what I mean? You feel me? Both of those things can be bad. You feel me? So we're gonna talk about that because right now, unfortunately, even worse to compound that is people are trying to use that. When I say people, I mean the president is trying to weaponize what happened to Charlie Kirk. Is we need to do something with free speech, and a lot of people believe that what he's going to start doing to test the limits of free speech is he's going to start arresting left-wing podcasters, left-wing influencers, left-wing politicians on things that we say, and seeing what the Supreme Court will back. So that's a dangerous step, man. You know what I'm saying? So we want to get the local folks. Let's talk about this. Obviously, we want to talk about the homelessness. If you live in California, our generation can no longer buy a home. You need to be a millionaire if you want to buy a home, man. You feel me? My wife and I make over $100,000 a year. We're renters. We need $1 million. We literally need $1 million to buy a home, right? So you got to be a millionaire to buy a home now. What's going on right there? That seems kind of like a high standard. You need to be a millionaire in order to buy a home that's not in a war-torn part of the Bay Area like deep East Oakland, right? You know what I mean? You want to raise your kids in a nice area. And it doesn't have to be elite, but does it really have to be in, again, a block that seems like it's war-torn? No, man. So we want to see what's going on. We want to talk about that. We want to get people's opinions on that. We don't want to cull. Everybody has their own opinion. Some people agree with it. We want to talk about the sweeps. People getting swept right off the sidewalks, man. Is it, how y'all feel about that? What's your feelings? Which way you feeling about that? If you ain't feeling that, what's your address so we can send them tents to your block? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. But we do want to talk about it, man. We want to be genuine. We want to be real. So it's a great conversation. I was just doing a little test run right now to see what it's looking like. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it's going to be a great conversation tonight. I'm going to have these 4 boxes right next to me. And we're going to sit down and we go round for round, chop it up, man. We're going to keep it real. And most importantly, what we want to show is that grown men can sit down, conversate, and disagree. Most importantly, we could disagree and we can agree to disagree. And then afterwards, we still go drink a beer. It ain't someone's Hitler, someone's the enemy, someone's the worst of the worst. Man, I disagree with bro. He's still cool. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I'm a Bronco fan, and these people, for some reason, like the Raiders or the Niners. I'm okay with that. I mean, I feel like they're making bad mistakes, but I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? And that's the point. Hey, we're gonna try to keep it real. We're gonna try to keep it light like that, but we're gonna have a real conversation, y'all. So it is what it is.